Hey, welcome back, guys. Rob of Rule of Two Review here. Happy New Year. It's time to talk about the future. So it is January 4th, 2014. Holy freaking cow. How unbelievable is that? I have not made a video in quite a few days, as you might have noticed, and that is pretty much because of the new year and all the holidays and all the drinking and partying and celebration and all the stuff that comes along with that. I've also really barely been gaming because of those same reasons. So because of the lack of news, the lack of gaming, and just the busyness with friends and holidays and stuff, I've just not really been able to do too much on the video recording game playing front. So that's that. Also, I apologize for my voice if it sounds a little bit funny. I don't want to say that I'm sick, but I am definitely losing my voice or have some sort of throat kind of thing going on. I was maybe running and gallivanting around downtown Denver last night, where of course I live and record these, in the cold snow of snowy, wintry time of Denver, Colorado, and it's been pretty intense. And I was an idiot last night, so I think because of that, my voice is starting to go. So if I sound like a teenager, it's not because I am; it's because I'm a dumbass. Also, when I say I haven't recorded a video in the last few days, that's technically not true. I did actually record a video and post it a few days ago, and it was pretty much relating to the recent hacking scenario that's been going on with some unnamed folks who've been doing some unnamed, really unfortunate hacking of big sites and da-da-da. And I really called some people out, and I was very vocal and verbal and mean to the people involved. And honestly, about 45 minutes or an hour or so after I posted that, I read some things and heard about some actions that had been taken that made me feel at the end of the day it was probably safer for me not to leave that video up. So you probably didn't get a chance to hear it. I think in just a little bit of time that was up, it had, I don't know, 5 or 6 views or so within that first hour. So it definitely didn't get around too long before I was like, you know what, I'm just going to play it smart and get rid of this. So even though you'll never really get to hear that, little 10 or 12 minute rant that I did, I definitely will tell you the one thing. At the end of the day, I still stand by what I said. Those guys are douchebags. So the real meat and potatoes of this video, as we celebrate this awesome, fantastic brand new year in early January time. I'm such a New Year's guy. I love it. It always feels good. January is a great month, I think. So as we celebrate this, I figured it was a good time, especially with all of the crazy events and great games and system launches and stuff that happened last year, to talk about the future of gaming, the future of what's going on right now, especially on the console space, and, just 2014 in general, since that's where we are, January 4th, 2014. And when you think about where it's going to go, I think that ultimately it's going to be great. I think 2014 specifically will probably be a slow yet still pretty great year. It's of course very exciting because, as we know, the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One launched, as of this recording, just a month and a half or so ago, probably even, almost 2 months ago. And that's really, really great. It's super exciting. Those systems have been performing pretty well. I don't think they're very exciting as of right now, as I've, spoken about many times, that there's nothing really enticing me on those systems on the software front. Honestly, the Wii U at the tail end of that first year, just in the last few months, started to just pick up so much steam with so much great software that I'm really focusing my time on that and some PC games and my 3DS. And honestly, I'm still even playing some PlayStation 3 stuff. So I fully believe in the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, and I know after time, and for the most part, probably this year, they're going to really start to become worth it. And I know before the year is over, I will have both of those systems, which is really exciting. But as a whole, there's just not a whole lot going on. I'm really glad that they had a lot of hype and buzz, and Sony's just killing it with the PlayStation 4. I'm glad they're doing well. I love Sony, and I like the PlayStation brand. I think it's all really just hype right now. There's really nothing to lead to these record-breaking sales as far as what the system is offering. It's going nowhere new. It's doing nothing new, and it doesn't have a lot of great games right now. There will be great games, so that is the good thing. And at the end of the day, technical specs and features and all this stuff doesn't really matter. It's the games that have to be good, and at some point they will have that. So I'm only glad to see their success, even though I don't really quite understand it yet. But it is what it is. I'm really glad that that's happening. I think that 2014 will continue to bring ridiculous success for the PlayStation 4. I can't imagine any possible scenario where it doesn't continue to outsell everything. It should outpace the Wii U in the next few months, which is really great for Sony. Good for them, taking that year lead away from Nintendo. And I think that it's going to be very cool to see them be the number one system by the end of this year. And it could, of course, remain throughout the whole generation. Although, as this last generation taught us, that might not be the case, as the Wii remained number one, but the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 ended up kind of switching places near the very tail end there. So that's pretty cool. You never really know what could happen. But as of right now, it seems like the PlayStation 4 is destined to run away with all the success. The Wii U, I think, is only going to continue to get stronger. The sales have been doubling lately. It's been starting to do really, really well because it started to get a lot of really, really great games. Anyone who saw or heard my top 10 games of 2013 saw 4 Wii U games on there, 3 of which were exclusive. And that's a big deal. That's showing that it's the exclusive software that matters for a system. And at the end of the day, Nintendo is that sleeping demon that you are foolish to count out. Seriously, you are absolutely inviting devastation to think that Nintendo is going to fail at the end of the day. They don't do it. They never do. No matter how bad it looks and how many chips are down, it is freaking impossible. Like, it's like saying, oh, Kratos had a broken nose in a fight, so he's probably going to lose. Or he's going to rip the guy's head off and shove it up his ass. That's what Kratos will do. And that's what Nintendo will do. That's why I love those guys. They make the best games. I think they have the most heart and purity, and they always do. They always come through in a clutch, even when things look down. So I think that with so many good games that we know about, Smash Brothers, X, Bayonetta, Mario Kart, Donkey Kong, I think Yarn Yoshi is set for this year. Those are so many really great, high-profile, third-party and first-party exclusives, and there's multi-platforms like Watch Dogs and whatnot as well that are coming out for the system this year, and it's going to really help. I think that the system is going to have a fantastic year. Honestly, Smash Brothers and Mario Kart alone are going to move so many units. That thing could double its install base just in 2014 alone. I really hope that that's the case. So I think the Wii U is going to do okay. The Xbox One is a more interesting scenario. I was even in GameStop earlier tonight, and they had signs posted all over that said, we have Xbox Ones in stock, which is fine. Not necessarily an indication of doom or anything, but I was surprised to see that, and I was chatting with them a little bit as I was, checking out with my game. And talking with them about that a little bit. And they said that, since, right after Christmas, they've had a pretty consistent flow. And granted, that's only like 2 weeks ago now, but that's considering how it was up until then, it's very surprising. They said after getting a few shipments of just, 4 or 5 here and there, all of a sudden GameStops have been getting bombarded with huge shipments, and they have not really been selling out of them. Whereas, the PlayStation 4s are still impossible to find. I even know that there are a lot of cases of some Wii U's being sold out over the last 2 weeks. So again, good on that. The PlayStation 4, they said they almost never see them. And I just think that's crazy. That's just so insane. The Xbox One is definitely the least appealing of all 3 systems as far as what the system itself offers. The features and how it operates and its UI and all that stuff. And the fact that it's had so many hardware and software problems since its launch, compared to the PlayStation 4, which had a few, but not nearly as many. And the Wii U, which had basically none, by the way. So that stuff is all unfortunate. And it's interesting that right now, after the Xbox One's initial boom, it seems to have really died out. And I don't really want this to happen because I want everyone to see success, but it would be interesting if the Xbox One runs into the same kind of drought that maybe the Wii U did, or after its initial first really positive sales few weeks, where it sold a couple million initially, and then all of a sudden it dies off. And I guess we'll see if that's the case. Here's the interesting thing I noticed about the Xbox One in particular is, as I just had stated, it is the least enticing right now of all 3 systems as far as the console itself. But I've actually been thinking, when comparing it to the PlayStation 4, which launched just a week beforehand, that is a system, excuse me, guys, that is a system that I believe in more because, again, I like Sony and the PlayStation brand more than Microsoft and the Xbox brand. But I'll tell you what, as of right now, there are way more interesting looking games A, available for the Xbox One, and B, on the horizon for the Xbox One, that we know about in the foreseeable future that have been talked about. Games like Titanfall and Halo 5 alone have me really, really excited, and I will have that system for those games very soon. And I appreciate Sony's franchises, things like God of War, Uncharted, Little Big Planet, Infamous, things like that. Overall, I like those much, much more than most of Microsoft's. Gears of War does count in the Microsoft space, but we have no knowledge of anything happening in that space as of right now. So even though the long-term benefits of PlayStation 4 software is way more enticing to me, as of right now, the Xbox One technically has the games that I'm more excited about. Like right now, I'd really like to play Dead Rising 3 and Killer Instinct. Like I've really been excited to play those 2 games. And again, Titanfall is coming out really soon as well. So that's going to be really, really exciting. So it's just kind of an interesting sort of switcheroo of things going on where I prefer the PlayStation 4. I'm more excited for the PlayStation 4, but I'm more interested in the games for the Xbox One, and that's just really kind of a weird little conundrum to be in there, not the best or the worst thing. It's just kind of what it is. I think that I think that the PC gaming space is only going to continue to grow. PC gaming is dominating, has been dominating everything for the last few years now. And, you know, it went through a drought a few years ago and people thought PC gaming was dying. And I was certainly on that boat. And absolutely the last few years, very, very much so, in huge part because of Steam and services like that, it's been picking up and it's been coming back and starting to dominate. And it basically is. So what's going to be really interesting when thinking about 2014, all 3 new next generation consoles on the market, the handheld space, I don't care what anyone says, is basically booming because the 3DS is doing gangbuster monster numbers. That is the untouchable beast in the entire gaming space right now is the 3DS. And even the Vita is like slowly kind of doing some things. It's pushing through, you know, and I appreciate that unit. But what's going to be interesting this year is when you look at all 3 consoles, all 3 next-gen consoles, I feel like the Wii U is the one that separates itself from the pack as the more gamer-centric, gaming experience-focused type of machine. The PlayStation 4 and Xbox One are fantastic pieces of hardware, no doubt. And I am really excited to eventually own them. Again, I don't want to actually say anything negative about anything because I appreciate and enjoy it all. But the problems that I've seen or that I've been worried about foreseeing with those consoles is them chasing far too closely the PC market and the PC mind space. And I think that is a stupid thing to do. So many of the features and the services and the things that they're trying to offer with these systems are definitely trying to mimic, or you could even say go after, what it is PCs have been achieving and succeeding at for years now. And while I can appreciate wanting to gain some of the market that your competition has, this is something that I think is potentially going to be a mistake. Because I think that the more those systems try to emulate and chase after those abilities for on the console space for your TV and in your living room, I think that the more people are going to notice that at the end of the day, those experiences don't compare or live up to what the PC can always do. And I'm not a PC fanboy by any stretch. I will diss PC experiences when shit doesn't go well all the time. You can ask any of my friends. I certainly like PC gaming. I have a pretty powerful rig, and I like playing games that are good on the PC. Sometimes I love sitting there with a mouse and keyboard and gaming. I love it. But, you know, I'm not still like that guy. I don't believe in the gaming PC master race, all that bullshit. Like, I don't believe it. I don't think it is the master race of gaming, but it does do what it does fan-freaking-tastically well. And I don't think that the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4 are ever going to be able to emulate that properly. So the closer it gets to trying to do what the PC community does, the more people are going to realize how far off the console space really is from achieving that goal. And it's going to become far less interesting. I think the holes in the models of these consoles could start to be shown to the public and to the gaming public. And they're going to realize, wow, I know I was excited for the PS4 when it launched last year, but now I'm realizing that it's really not doing anything special. And whatever it is that it does do, my PC does it better. So why do I care? You know? And I am a Nintendo fanboy, so I see these kind of positive lights for Nintendo's perspective, and that is why I think that the Wii U is going to ultimately end up doing okay. Whether or not that whole theory of mine proves true or not, which it certainly might not be true. I don't think I'm a prophet or anything, but I think that, you know, that Nintendo's game plan of being so focused on the kind of experience it is going to ultimately pay off, man. I mean, it's going to be, at the end of the day, people know that they can rely on the Wii U to do the one thing that none of the other systems are do. And the Vita connectivity to the PlayStation 4, as cool as it is, I have tried it, is nowhere near up to par with what the Wii U can do. It is not the same experience. As cool as it is, I'm sorry for any PlayStation fans. It is just not the same experience. You know, it's a cool little novelty. It's a gimmick. With the Wii U, it's not a gimmick. It is the business model that they are pushing this fantastic system on and building it around, which is why it works better. And the technology is better in the Wii U for that than what it is in the PlayStation 4 and the Vita. So I feel like Nintendo is going to be able to be so separate from that whole pack that it's going to be successful in its own right, and none of the other bullshit around it will matter. I really hope that ends up being true, and I think it will. You know, good on. That's why I love me some Nintendo. I don't think that the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, if in fact this theory turns out to be even a little bit true, I don't think it's going to kill the systems by any means. So I hope no one even thinks that I'm trying to spell doom for any of them because of the PC. I am not that guy. I think everything will and can be successful. There is room for everything on the market now to still be successful by the end of its lifetime. It's not about first is the only one who did well and everyone else just totally blew ass and it's just a bunch of shit and no one did well. It's not that way. There can be a first, second, and third place console for a generation, and all three will still have been successful. That is exactly what happened last generation. You know, the Wii, the PlayStation 3, and the 360 all sold so much, despite the fact that there was a first, second, and third place, that no one failed. No one lost real money. I mean, I guess Sony kind of did, but they weren't a failure. They weren't like a monetary failure in that respect. And I'm removing the $170 million they lost for the PSN hack. That was a whole different thing. If you remove that, I think they definitely made a lot of profit, or at least they did well enough, obviously, to justify the PlayStation 4. So I just think it's unfortunate that people look at that way. I think mobile gaming is going to continue to do the same thing it's always done. I've been very vocal that it's just not my kind of thing. It doesn't appeal to me. I don't consider it in the same league of real traditional games like I'm talking about now. But, you know, it certainly has a humongous market, and there's a lot of money being generated for those kind of games. And the one thing I do appreciate from the mobile market, and I think that this will continue to grow throughout 2014, is that it is a great breeding ground for good developers and good game makers and game studios, indie game studios. If there's anything, it's a fantastic little grassroots outlet for companies and guys, people who can be, want to be pretty excellent game makers to start to get their product and their knowledge and their names out there. So in that respect, I really, really appreciate that it offers that for those people, because the more great, talented people we get in the industry making games for you and I to play, the better off we all are. Everyone will win. And that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I think the handheld space, again, is going to continue to go. I was just looking at sales numbers earlier, and Jesus Christ, the 3DS worldwide last week sold over 1 million units, which was more than twice what the number 2 was, which I think was the PlayStation 4. And it's like ridiculous how well that thing is doing. And it's only going to continue to do better because there's so many good games for it. And that's just a wonderful, great thing. I'm really excited to see that. But I hope that the console space continues to pick up as well. PlayStation 4 by the end of the year is going to be doing really, really fantastically. If I had to give a prediction, which fuck it, why not? I'm going to predict on the next gen console space that the PlayStation 4 will have the most units in homes at the end of the year. The Wii U will have the second most, and the Xbox One will have the third most. I think they'll all be doing respectively very well. That's all that matters. But I think that that's going to be the end tally near the end of the year. There's no point to talk about the 3DS and Vita because the Vita is a fine machine. It has zero prayer in hell of taking over the 3DS, and that's just a simple fact. But that's okay, as long as they continue to release good games for it, like the Final Fantasy HD collection, which I'm actually really excited for, then it's going to do fine. They get a lot of great JRPGs on that system, and I think that's really cool. So yeah, I think that's where we're going to be. My final thought on this topic, next holiday is going to be awesome because, as I've been saying for a while, now we have all 3 next generation consoles on the market, and we're going to have all 3 systems firing on all cylinders for the holiday this year. All sorts of flagship titles are going to be coming out. Will Halo 5 make it out this year? Is it possible that the Zelda announcement at E3 means it will actually come out in 2014? That would be in-fucking sane if that actually happened. And I mean, for all we know, more information about Uncharted or something comes out. These 3 platforms are going to be having a lot of excellent stuff, and they're all going to be fighting again on all cylinders for your gaming dollar. And it's as cheesy as it sounds, we're all going to win because of that. Competition breeds excellence, and that's going to mean great things for you and I to do see and play. And that's going to be just a wonderful, fantastic Christmas. One last little tidbit I want to touch about that is still relevant to this topic because it relates to 2014 is a little news snippet that I read just a few days ago. I think it was on the 31st from Game Trailers. And it was about Hideki Kamiya. And Hideki Kamiya is one of the lead developers of Platinum Studios, Platinum Games, which is known for Bayonetta and Mad World and Vanquish and some really amazing kick-ass action games. This year they just came out with the Wonderful 101, which anyone who knows or has heard me lately has heard me rave about how much I love that game. It is a masterpiece, and everybody please play it. So what's really interesting is he released, basically Hideki Kamiya of Platinum Games released his resolution for the year. And in it, he basically talked about starting his next project, his next game, which we know he's finishing up Bayonetta 2 for the Wii U this year, which is supposed to be coming out. I hope it's spring, early in the year. I want to get that game in my hands as soon as possible. But he also, like I said, he kind of talked about what he's going to be doing going forward. So he released just a few sentences, a quick quote, and I'm going to go ahead and read that for you here. Again, this is on Game Trailers. And he says, there's a lot I hold dear in making games, but I think for developers, having fun is most important. The atmosphere of the workplace shows clearly in a game's quality, so I want to treasure a team's atmosphere where each member can have fun developing games. Also, this is the important part, also, 2014 will be the year where a new project will be fully set in motion. I want to boldly and happily walk that path without fear of failure. Well, good for you, man. The more games you are making, the fucking better off we are, because your games are so amazing, badass. I love this guy as a game developer and a director, and I love Platinum Games for everything that they've ever done. I just think they're wonderful, fantastic people. And so what's interesting about this, obviously the first and most important thing to take away from this is that he is saying that the next project he/Platinum Games is going to be working on is going to be started this year, 2014. Awesome. That is great news. I just love knowing that that studio is in full swing and that they're making games, you know, whether they're working with Sega or Nintendo or whoever, that they're going to be making stuff out. I think Vanquish and Bayonetta were both published by Sega, so they have a pretty good history there. Same with Bayonetta 2, of course. Wonderful 101 was done with Nintendo. Okami, he's also, by the way, responsible for really serious games. Devil May Cry, Beautiful Joe, Okami. I think his first game was Resident Evil 2, an amazing game from back in the day. So he's got a fantastic pedigree. He's worked with, of course, with Devil May Cry and Beautiful Joe and Okami, Capcom and stuff before too. So I like that he goes all over the place. Now, what's very interesting is a lot of people have been wondering and thinking if Platinum Studios could at some point be acquired by Nintendo or become a second-party developer for Nintendo. Obviously, I would shit my pants if this was to happen. And I think that this is very, very possible. And I wonder if the fanboy in me looks a little bit deeply into this, which is probably a silly thing to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. With the last thing he says is, I want to boldly and happily walk that path without fear of failure. That's an interesting thing to say. I mean, what would make him feel that he could just do anything and not have a fear of failure? I feel like if his studio is secured by being part of a larger company, that could potentially be it. So if they basically are purchased or merge with Nintendo, that would create that lack of fear, I feel. So I'm just hoping, the geek in me and the Nintendo fanboy and Platinum Games fanboy in me just kind of wants to read that as a potential, maybe Platinum Games will get acquired by Nintendo this year, or they're going to announce that that's happening very soon. And it could be a wonderful thing for all parties involved. Nintendo needs that kind of company on their side making those kind of games for them. And Platinum, obviously, because they almost lost the ability to make Bayonetta until Nintendo decided to pay for it, Platinum could obviously use the help, and I think that those teams could work well together. They've obviously made one of my all-time favorite games, The Wonderful 101, so together they can make magic. Let's have that happen again. Let's push that relationship forward in 2014. Let's get Bayonetta out the door to kick ass and sell well and show people that great games can still show up on the Wii U. Third party that are exclusive. Not the first, but I think a very high-profile one. Get that out the door, announce this same company, and continue making fantastic games for the Wii U and Nintendo platforms in the future. It would just be a marvelous, marvelous thing, and it would just make my year that much more wonderful. Alrighty, well, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for putting up with my, teenage voice cracking, puberty sounding voice today. I'm kind of forcing my voice out just to sound loud enough for you guys. The stupid cold in Denver. Oh my gosh. I love the snow in the winter, but I hate this ass biting cold that we're going through right now. So the Facebook page is up, like I said, so please go ahead and like it. I'll have a link in the description below for the Facebook page for Rule of Two Review. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, please share the video. I always love hearing back from you. So any thoughts or comments you have down below, please let me know. It's going to be a really great year for 2014. Lots of good gaming to come in that is going to be coming to all of us nerds and us gamers throughout the year. So we only have stuff to celebrate and be excited about. And I think that is the message. That is the resolution we should have. Enjoy all the kick-ass gaming that's coming towards us. So thanks again for tuning in, guys. I will catch you next time.